welcome to chapter 4. We will be discussing about population and demographic factors. We want to understand a few concepts around population. We are just coming from a topic where we have mentioned the word population as when we were saying the increase in unemployment levels is because of also the increase in population. So we want to understand various concepts around population, and we begin by defining what is population. And we simply say that it is just the total number of people living in a particular geographical area of a particular period of time or at a particular period of time. Now, the study of population, there is a name that we give to it. We call it demography. I am sure you have heard in various countries, including Kenya, where we have an activity called the census that is done after every 10 years. We want to understand various aspects in regard to population, and some of the aspects are the ones that we are going to be discussing here. So the census, we can also call it some demographic studies. Now we have a number of terms. We have a number of terms that we can be able to define. Number one is the population growth, the rate at which population is increasing. That is population growth. And then we have the birth rate, is the number of live births per 1,000 people in a year. So when you are looking at the birth rates, we are looking at the concept of how many kids have made it to be alive. Yeah, that is very important to be able to know. That's why we are calling them live births. It is simply the number of kids that have been born alive. Of course, we have other concepts around what we call stillbirths, death rates, or mortality rates, and that one is also captured in these particular definitions. Then we have the fertility rate, is the rate at which 1,000 women give birth within a year, and is also, we can also define it as the number of children an average woman will bear in her productive years. So fertility rate has two meanings. We can have the meaning of the rate at which women are giving birth, and also we can also define it as in terms of the average woman, or the average age of giving birth. How many children is a woman able to have at that particular age? Then we have mortality rate, stroke the death rate, is the rate of deaths that occur in a population within a certain period of time. Factors determining the fertility rate in a country. Number one, and very important, is the cultural beliefs concerning family. So culture is what we call a way of doing things. So we can have cultures, for example, that believe that children are a wealth. So what does that mean? It means that the more you have, the more that you are deemed to be wealthy. Those kind of cultures, you end up doing what? You end up finding that those families have very many children. And the other one is the cost of bringing up the children. Yeah, when you talk about the cost of bringing up the children, we are looking at the cost of healthcare for the children, the cost of education for the children, the cost of other basic needs. Of course, as years continue to go by, the cost of living is becoming expensive, and now families are resorting into having a smaller number of children because of the cost of bringing up the children. If you look at 30, 40, 50 years ago, families from where maybe some parents come from were even up to 10 children. The other one is the literacy levels in women. Fertility rate decreases with increase in literacy levels on women, on reproduction. You have also had the information about the career women. Somebody is a career woman, so they may not have a lot of time for the kids, or they will have time for maybe bearing of one kid, and also with literacy levels around family planning methods and what we can be able to do. That will also determine the number of kids that individuals are going to have. The other one is peace and security around a place, improved health and educational services. And so once the government improves the health and the educational services, people are able to multiply. An example, for example, in Kenya, we had one of our former government's regime, the one that was run by President Mwai Kibaki. When he came into office, he said that education, primary school education, will be free. And then 1 or 2 years down the line, there was an influx of students and pupils into the schools because if the government has subsidized their education services, it means now even if you have 2, 3, you can still educate them without a lot of strain. And finally is the government policy on family size. We have countries that have developed policies that you cannot have more than one. So I invite you to look at what countries exactly are those ones and get to know much about the policy and what it says. Then we have another term that we call the optimum population. It refers to the population level where the number of people is in balance with the existing resources. That is population size that is enough to exploit a country's resources. That is optimum population. The other one is number 6, overpopulation. Occurs when a country's population is large compared to its resources, such as the resources are overstretched. That is overpopulation. The other one is underpopulation, is the opposite. Occurs when the available resources in a country are greater than the size of the population in that country. So we end up having too many resources as compared to the population that is available. And finally, we have what we call the young population. Occurs when a country's population has a majority of people below 15 years and is caused by decline in infant death rate and increases the birth rate. So young population, we are looking at the age of the bigger percentage of individuals in a country. Yeah, so we call that the young population. We have quite a number of very many terms, but they are very important for this particular topic. Then we have the aging population. So simply the majority of the people in this kind of an age bracket, they are elderly, and we can look at numbers over 55 years, 60 years, and so on and so forth. And then we have the declining population, is a situation where the population is remarkably falling, and it can be due to awareness of the advantages of small population. So we can have the family going down and declining, the numbers declining. And then we have an interesting word where we call population explosion, a situation where the population is growing at an alarming rate compared to the available resources and social amenities to support it. And the other one is the population structure, the composition of a family in terms of age, sex, education, level of dependency. So when we look at all these aspects, like for example, if we are doing some demographic studies and we are interested to know age of individuals, their sex, the level of education, then what we are doing there is trying to identify what we call the population structure. Now, implications of population size and structure on development. What are the positive implications? Number one, when the population is growing, then we, number one, end up increasing the market demand for products. The other one, there will be enough supply of labor due to the high population. The other one is technological advancement. This is as a result of competition and pressure of population on the available resources. And finally, on a positive note, high population is going to lead to population export promotion. And we are saying the advancement in technology brings increase in quantity and quality that can be exported. And we have the negative implications of population is that, number one, there is increase in crime levels due to unemployment. That is a major issue in developing countries. And then we have overutilization of resources. So whatever little that is available, then we end up overutilizing it. The other one is increase in population levels, or poverty levels, sorry, increase in poverty levels. The other one is, of course, high levels of unemployment. Number 5 is that the government may find it hard to provide adequate infrastructure. So because of the high levels of population, then it becomes difficult for the government also to know how to appropriate or share the finances for infrastructure that is available in terms of roads, schools, hospitals. And the other one is that it can affect the environment negatively. The other one is that it decline in savings and investment, as more will be spent on feeding on a large population. And finally, because of high population, we have what we call inequalities in income distribution. So you will have a percentage of individuals that are earning this amount and others that are earning a very meager amount. That is what we call inequalities in income distribution. So that brings us to the end of the discussion on that particular topic on population. As you do your research, you are invited to explore different issues around the negative implications, positive implications, get to know other terms that are discussed in population for your benefit.